Hi guys! Today's video is once again a film and TV related video, and today I thought that I would talk you through a few of my current Netflix picks. I thought that sounded catchy. I don't know if it does, but that's what I'm going to call this video anyway. I'm just going to do kind of like a series of these and just talk you through a couple of films and TV shows that are on the UK and Ireland Netflix. I don't know if they are on any of the other ones, but they're certainly in the UK and Ireland Netflix, and they're shows and films I really enjoyed and I thought you might enjoy. First up we have films, and the first film that I wanted to talk about is one that I watched a few months ago at the recommendation of my friend Gillian from Elevator Music, whose link I will pop in the description box. Now, Gillian did a blog post talking about a few things that she had been watching, and she talked about Celeste and Jessie Forever. So I went onto Netflix and looked this film up and gave it a watch, and I thought that it was fantastic. The film stars Rashida Jones and Andy Samberg, and it's the story of a couple who have recently divorced after having been married for years. They were high school sweethearts and friends throughout their entire life, and they've recently separated, and this story is basically how they cope with trying to keep a friendship alive when you have then separated. This is quite a real film, I think. It's one that deals with relationships in quite a realistic way and talks about how difficult it can sometimes be to readjust to your life when someone who's been such a massive part of it is not a part of it in that way anymore. I think if you're a fan of films like Friends with Kids, if you've seen that film, it's in that sort of type of genre where it's people who you're used to being slightly more comedic, dealing with slightly more serious subject matter, and in quite a sort of realistic portrayal of that type of relationship. So if you're a fan of that type of film, I would definitely recommend checking it out. The second film that I wanted to talk about is called Robot and Frank. This film I think came out in 2013, and I saw it on the plane coming back from Australia and I just loved it. I thought it was amazing. The film stars Frank Langella, James Marsden, Liv Tyler and Susan Sarandon, and it's the story of a man who has gotten a little bit older and isn't really able to live by himself anymore, and his kids invest in home help in the form of a robot. The film's set just a little bit into the future. It's not set sort of in current times, but it isn't a sci-fi film that's set particularly far into the future. It's kind of an imagining of what we could potentially have maybe, you know, 10 or 15 years from now, in terms of home aids in the form of a robot, and it's a really sweet film. Having not really heard much about the film before I watched it, I wasn't really sure what I was letting myself in for, but this is a really sweet film. Frank Langella's character is also called Frank, as the title might suggest, and his character's been somewhat of a difficult older person to deal with. His kids have found that his moods have deteriorated and he's not been someone who's been particularly easy to be around, and he's been very resistant to the idea of getting any help. And so to see how things start to change when this robot comes into his life and reminds him maybe what his life used to be like is really, really sweet. There's a couple of twists in the film that I really didn't see coming, that I didn't expect, and I always enjoy that. There are a lot of really nice little moments in this film and a lot of laughs despite this sort of unusual subject matter, and so I would definitely recommend checking that one out if you've got a couple of hours to spare. And now I'm going to talk about a couple of TV shows, just a couple of quick fire recommendations if you're looking for something new to start if you have maybe finished something recently. First I'm going to talk about Life Unexpected. This was a show that I had wanted to watch for a really long time. I had heard of it, I had seen the kind of like trailers for it I think, and it looked right up my street, and I'd never had an opportunity to. So when I saw that it was on Netflix, I watched this at the start of the year and I just fell completely in love with it. This show is about a girl called Lux. She's 16, yes, her name is Lux. She's 16 years old and she has been in foster care throughout her entire life. She did not know her birth parents, and this basically the premise of the show is that she tracks them down, discovers that they were 16 themselves when she was born and she was put up for adoption, and she wants to become legally emancipated, so she wants to get out of the foster care system and start taking care of herself despite the fact she's only 16 years old. So the show explores Lux's newfound relationship with these estranged parents who she's never met before, and explores how they start to learn how to become parents, and she learns how to start to trust people. I'm a huge fan of the teen television genre. It is my favourite genre of television to watch and discuss and explore, and I think that this one, there are only 2 seasons of this show. It got, I think, cancelled after 2 seasons, which made me really sad because I thought that it was excellent. I think the acting in this show is actually really, really good, especially the young girl who plays Lux, whose name escapes me at the moment, but I'm going to put it across here. She does a fantastic job with the character, and it's a really interesting story. The show just kept me totally gripped the whole way through, and I was really sad when it was over. So if you want something new to watch and you're not too bothered about starting something that's got, you know, 8 or 10 seasons to go through, I would definitely recommend checking this out because it's only 2 seasons, but they are 2 seasons very well worth watching. And finally, for my quickfire Netflix picks, I'm going to recommend Orphan Black. Despite being on to its 3rd season now, only season 1 is actually on Netflix at the moment, so I've only actually seen season 1, but boy did I love this show. I remember seeing a lot of people tweeting about this and I felt like it sounded like a really scary, creepy show, and while I like a thriller, I'm not one for kind of like massively like horror style sort of show, so before I knew anything about it, I thought it was going to be a kind of like horror genre and I wasn't interested. And one night I had nothing to watch and I just sort of hovered over it and I read the synopsis and I thought, actually, that sounds really interesting, and I devoured all 12 episodes of that season within a few days. I have to give a shout out to Tatiana Maslany, who plays the main character in this show. I don't want to give too much away about this show because it's something that you have to watch and experience. The basic premise, however, is that a girl called Sarah is standing at a train station. She's had a pretty rough few weeks and she's not feeling particularly great about her life, and she's standing at a train station and she turns around and sees a girl who is the exact spitting image of her total doppelganger, jump in front of a train. Sarah then discovers this girl's identity and has to try and figure out how and why they were connected, why this girl killed herself, and it opens a whole can of worms that I can tell you, once you start to watch, you get completely and utterly hooked. She makes you forget instantly that it is the same actor who's playing these characters. She is just phenomenal, and the storyline is very sci-fi. It's got a definite sci-fi undertone to it, but if you just like a good thriller, if you like, don't focus too much on the sci-fi element, because I know that that can be off-putting for some people. It used to be for me. I wasn't a sci-fi fan in the past, but put that to one side. If you just like a good thriller and some excellent acting, this is definitely the show for you. So that is it for my first ever Netflix picks. I hope that you have enjoyed that. I hope that you go and watch some of these shows and films, and if you've already seen them, let me know in the comments what you thought of them. If you go on to watch them, let me know in the comments what you thought of them. And I'm definitely going to do more videos like this because, what can I say, I'm a Netflix addict. Alright, I am in a rush this afternoon because I have so much that I want to try and get done. It's Sunday afternoon and I work again tomorrow and the weeks are just disappearing, and so trying to fit in little times to film is proving to be a challenge. But I hope that you enjoyed that, guys, and I will be back again with another video soon. Thanks for watching, bye! This is Water for Elephants with Reese Witherspoon and Robert Pattinson and Christoph Waltz. Haven't watched it yet. I got it for like £3 I think in HMV.